No, it's good. It's good right there. It's good. Let me stop this thing. Oh, that's good right there. Shh, I'm gonna start now. Shh, I'm gonna start. Yeah. Ho iyo iyo ikaivalani ike kani ele a o ahi ahi ike ho o ina mai ana kapuana ike kani ele a e ane. Kane and Kanaloa took on human form because they needed to teach the Kanaka how it is to live and use the gifts of the gods. And so they took human form, and all the islands, they worked so hard digging through the Aina to release the waters from below, the waters of Kane and Kanaloa, the god of the sea. Up into the hills they dug, and the Kalo and the Maya. And at the ocean they dug, the great ponds and the great lakes, and the great fisheries opened up. Oh, but they were in human form and they got tired, so they rested. In the evening, they listened to the sounds of the crickets singing. Hey, hey, henne, henne, hi, 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 hini, hini, ayaka uhini, ayane. And they got tired. Oh, and in human form, their bodies were aching, and so before going to sleep, they called their youngest brother. Boy! Boy! Where you stay? Kaneapua! Boy! I said, Kaneapua king? Yes, brother. Kaneapua, at the top of that hill of Kanolu, at the top, the very top, you have to hike up. There you'll find the freshest pool of water. At the spring there. Go there, boy. Take the gourd and fill it. But Kane, I thought we gods, and gods don't need anything. Gods don't need to drink. Huh? Oh, Kane, oh, you have so much to learn. You're only in human form, boy. You have to learn how the Kanaka must work each day, how they must harvest the kalo, how they must dig and plant. No planting, no work, no food. It is not the way with us gods, but in order for us to teach them, we have to take on their needs and their ways, boy. So, we need water, and I want you to go to the top of the cliff. Now, get us some water. Go. So, Kaneapua, in his new human form, went to the edge, the very edge of Lanai, where it was hot. Oh, brother, it was hot. And there, just as his brother had said, he did what he was told. He climbed as fast as he could up to the very top of the slopes. Oh, God, it was hot. And then he climbed to the very edge until he got exactly what his brothers had said. He looked down and he could see down below, at the edge of Kanolu, a beautiful spring. Ah, yeah. That's the one. That's the one. I gotta go. I gotta go get the things for my brother. And so, Kaneapua took his gourd. If I can find his gourd. Here it is. Kaneapua took his gourd. He went up to the spring. He knelt down. He tried to kneel down. There we go. He knelt down and he dipped into the spring. Oh, he poured the water over his head. Oh, 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 oh. It felt so good. Oh, brother. One more time. One more time. Whoo! Whoo! He felt his spine tingling. And then he dipped the water and he began to drink. Oh, he felt for the first time in his human form the great gift of water. Oh, he drank, and he drank again, and then, oh, strangely, he felt near his belly. A strange sensation, a strange tingling that he'd never felt. Oh, oh, oh. And before he knew it, Kaneapua had to she, and he did. Oh, he urinated right in the waters, the very waters that he brought back to his brothers. Wow. They were tired again. Kane and Kanaloa had been tired. Still sitting on the ground, they took the water that Kaneapua gave them, and they made their ava, and they drank. Oh, oh. But when they drank the ava, suddenly, suddenly from behind their human form, there rose their divine form. Oh, 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 bro. Oh, Kaneapua. They summoned him. Yes, my brother. Kaneapua. Yes. Oh, Kaneapua. You have made your first mistake. Why are you upset? Kane spoke to him. Oh, my young brother. It is the way of the Kanaka. There will be many mistakes, Kaneapua. This is your first one. But it is the beginning. All mistakes, the beginning of learning, Kaneapua. So now, because of your transgressions, what's a transgression? You will find your way, Kaneapua. But now, your brother and I must go home to Kahiki. What? Home? But I thought this was our home. Oh, this is only one place we visit, Kaneapua. But we have many, many voyages to make and many places to go. So having said that, Kaneapua stood on the shore with his mouth agape as he watched his brothers transform into giant seabirds. And there they flew home to Kahiki. Across the sea to Kahiki. Wow. Kaneapua, by himself, stood on the shore, resting on the beach. And every day he came, lifting his arms to the sky. Kane! Kanaloa! Please! But he'd stay. The sun set, he would rest on the shore and look up at the sky, study the sky, the clouds, hoping his brothers would return. But alas, it was not to be. The weeks turned into months, and the months turned into a year. But every day, Kaneapua watched in the skies. He watched the seabirds fly by, and he tried to study them. And each day he looked at the sky and he studied the sun and the moon, and he watched the animals, the seabirds, and the whale. And one day, as he was standing on the shoreline, Kaneapua saw for the first time a va'akalua. Oh, what a magnificent boat. Hey, where are you headed? Whose boat is that? And he heard an old voice. I am Kilo. Yes, and this is the vessel of the great chief of Wanui. Oh, we're on a great voyage. and a great mission to stand on the chest of Kani and Kanaloa. We have come from the Big Island, and we are told they live here on Nanai. And Kaneapua realized that they had come to conquer his brothers. And so he said, please, take me with you. We are going to the land of Kahiki. Please take me with you. There is no room for somebody like you, a young boy wet behind the ears. Oh, come on. Take me with you. I can sit on the pola. You got room there, right? No. I can sit on the manu. You got room there? No. On the aku? No. On the ama? No. No. No more room for boys like you. Now, we're here for water. We're here. There's a great spring in Kanolu. Can you show us? And so, having known the spring, Kaneapua took them to the spring. They filled their caches and their gourds with the water. And then Kaneapua, who had been studying the seas, spoke to the old man, the kahu, the spokesperson on the ship, and he said to him, be careful. You shouldn't sail now, because I think what storm is coming. What? Said the old man. What? What storm are you talking about, boy? You don't know what you're talking about. I'm the kilo of this boat. Now you be quiet. I'm gonna tell the chief we gotta sail. I wouldn't, please, I wouldn't. But Kilo, he was a proud old man. He decided he would sail, and so they did. They sailed out, but the skies grew dark. And soon, the tiny boat, Dava'a, was flooded with waves, and all of the water was destroyed. And finally, on board, the ali'i, Avan Nui said, bring the little boy on board. Kilo, you have much to learn from this youngster. He might be able to show us the way to Kahiki. Look, he warned us of the storm. We barely survived. Now, bring him on board. And so, that was how Kaneapua joined Kilo in the crew as they began to sail. Ooh, the double hakadu. Ooh. For days they sailed in smooth seas, and then slowly, ever so slowly, the men sailed into something strange and mysterious. Ooh, the sky turned dark. The fog was so thick. From the rear of the canoe to the very furthest point of the manu, they couldn't even see each other. Ooh. And then the sky itself turned blue. And from the shadows, the men could see an island rising from the sea. And the man in fear said, "Oh, what is that? What is that?" And up from the sea rose a giant. It's the man-eating dog of Hira! Help us! Please, Kilo, we're gonna die! And just then Kaneapua, on board with them, told them to fear not. That is nothing more than the magic island of Hanekunamoku. Be quiet, sail on. And there the island seemed to disappear to the bottom of the sea. And the men, thank you, Kaneapua. And the chief who was holding forth, and the chief was so happy that they began singing songs. And many days they sang, and the sea was happy and glad. The men sailed on. But then, and one day, 6 days out from the time of the fearsome island of Kaneapua, from out of nowhere the canoe sailed into the midst of the sea again. They saw the clouds rising. And then suddenly, from nowhere, on the right of the boat, came a huge cliff. Paliula, and on the other side another cliff. Palikea, Paliula, Palikea. Oh, and the cliffs began to move closer and closer to the boat, threatening to crush the canoe. And just then, the man cried out, Kaneapua! And he ran to the front of the boat, stood up, gripped the ropes and said, Palikea, Paliula, how dare you? I am Kaneapua, brother of Kane and Kanaloa. I command you to let us pass. And the two cliffs slowly faded. And so the canoe sailed right through the cliffs into the calmer seas. Well, the men rejoiced. Oh, they were so happy. They were so happy. And each day they went out with their fishing lines. If I can find the fish. They went out with their fishing line. Oh, and they caught fish after fish after fish after fish. And the whales came by with such happiness. The seabirds followed them with such peace. And the whales and the creatures of the sea. And it was as though Kanaloa, his brother, was with them indeed. Kanaloa, his brother, was with them indeed. Wow. The men fished, and they got, wow. It was then that Kaneapua turned to them and said, "We're now in the deep sea of my great grandmother. Hononui ku kea ea ea, and we will not reach the land of Kahiki. My brothers are testing us. We have learned much. We have trusted each other. We have faced our fears. But now, this is the greatest challenge of all. My brothers that command the winds of Lao Mau Mau. And now I must dive to see my grandmother. If I do not return, you must sail back the way you've come." And having said that, Kaneapua dove into the water, head first. Down he swam as fast as he could, deeper and deeper, until he got to the very bottom of the sea. And he waited, and he called out, "Hona nui, ea kea kea, please, it's me, your mo'opuna, please." And suddenly, he heard a stirring. Beneath the sea, a stirring. It was the great turtle with the brown back. Hononui, kea, ea, ea. Grandmother, please. You gotta help us, Grandma. Because on shore, my two brothers wait to challenge me. "Oh, Mo'opuna," she said. "Of course I will." Behind the rock she came, in her natural form. Beautiful brown-backed turtle. Oh, Hononui. Oh, you bring tears to my eyes to see you, my mo'opuna. What can I do for you? The canoe. and my fellow Kanaka. We are on the canoe, grandmother, alone, facing Kane and Kanaloa in the great test. You must help me, please. The winds will come, and surely we will die if you don't help us. Oh, Hononui. Ea said to him, here. And she reached down, and from her na'au, from her great tender body, she took out her own intestines, gave it to Hononui, and said, swim now to the surface, take this with you, and make from it the strongest rope that will bind your canoe, so none of the winds of La'o will be able to break it. So Honolulu went up there, just as she said, men, come, let's lash the canoe. Well, on shore, of course, the winds began to blow. Woo! The thunder and lightning began to blow. The skies turned blue. Woo! And from the shore, Kane and Kanaloa looked on in their godly form, laughing at their younger brother. Oh, this is the test of his life. Well, the winds came, and the winds blew. And the boat was storm-tossed, up and down it rolled, and the waves, the giant rocks threatening it. And the storm hit. But the boat held. And in the next day, while it was still clear, oh, Kane and Kanaloa. Oh, they went back into human form. They were asleep on the beach. The ropes held. The men were strong and fearless. And so, the great chief Avanui and walked inland, past the coral, past the rocks with his walk up and up and up until he found on the ground, lying there, in their human form, no longer dressed as gods, but asleep on the shoreline, still sleeping and resting on the shoreline. He went up to them. They were asleep on the shoreline. And he stood on top of the chest, Kane and Kanaloa. Of course, they were just sleeping. And then, no sooner had he done that, Kaneapua said, now you have done what you've come to do. Please, know, whatever you take to the great seas on your canoe, know that I, Kaneapua, you can sail back now to Hawaii and know whether the seas are rough or whether the seas are calm. That I, Kaneapua, and my brothers Kane and Kanaloa look out for you. Please take the lessons you have learned. Share them with your children. Tell them in your stories. Guide your navigators back to the great land. Remember your home always here in Hawaii. And that's the story of Kaneapua and the great navigator, Awanui. Okay. Aitake.